Hello, and welcome back to Leadership in the Dealership podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Keishawn Batts. Today, I'm joined by an illustrious guest, Alex Balk, General Manager of North Orlando CARite. Oh, Alex, great to have you. Hopefully, you're excited about the time today. Want to get kickstarted. One, to say thank you again for joining. This is going to be a little bit of fun for us today, but to kind of get us kickstarted with a icebreaker. If money were no option for you and the impact to the globe was no issue, what would be your dream vehicle you'd buy?
A big boat, probably. No, but just cars? No. It's something simple. Probably 911 or something like that.
Yeah,
But
a simple 911. Yeah,
simple,
GT3.
no big deal. But really, I'd buy a big boat and be on the ocean somewhere.
Yeah,
So
hey man, I'm with you on that. I love the ocean myself, and I guess we got more in common than we
yeah,
think because I too would pick a 911, lime green with black race stripes with a big fin on the back.
wouldn't be
So
terrible. But I think being in the car business, you do get a little numb to cars. You're not. I mean, at least personally, I don't get as attached to them as people who aren't in the business because it really is just you could have anything you want. Just it's all in inventory for sale, right? You know,
yeah, and if
everything
you
else
don't have it
comes.
in inventory, you got a friend that
And
you
you
know
can't
can
be
get.
attached to it because we're in the business to sell cars, not collect them, right?
So with that said, how many cars do you think you've owned over your lifetime?
I mean, it's been dozens probably.
Yeah,
Again, owns a vague term because being a dealer, you can kind of buy things and try them out, and you know when they sell, right? So you don't always have to commit to something like a regular person would.
yeah. Well, again, I'm excited to have you. We'll have a little fun today, but before we get started, Alex, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long you've been at CarRite? How have you transitioned throughout the organization? Tell us about your journey.
Yeah, it's been a unique one actually. I got into the car business through the accounting side. So never sold cars myself, and I was always doing the bean counting there with everybody, and wanted to get into more of the action. And I got an opportunity back with the group I was with in Ohio. Started in F&I at a Honda store. Did that for years, 4 or 5 years, and kind of wanted to start my own thing. Saw the potential there, and CarRite does have a franchise program that allows people who are qualified and um, to basically to kind of give you the blueprint to start your own dealership. So took over one. I want to say it was 2018. It was an existing corporate franchise, and then expanded actually until COVID. We got to 3 locations at one point, and COVID was kind of a step back because our business model at the time was high volume, low margin, a lot of rental cars, and as everyone knows, rental cars. Anyone who tried to rent a car during the pandemic, it was few and far between, hard to find. So um, at that point in time, our business scaled back a little bit and kind of had to change, adapt with the times, roll with the punches a little bit, and started selling different things that I never thought I'd sell. Anything from Teslas to a commercial, small commercial vans, and just whatever the market needed, and just trying to fill that void.
Nice. And I mean, COVID is a big
Yeah.
changing point, inflection point for many of us in the industry, in the business. But since COVID, like, talk to me about like the strategies or technologies you all have employed that have really improved or intended to improve that car buying experience for not just your customers, but for the employees to use as well.
So the biggest thing is, you have to kind of realize what customers want. And I think the initial reaction is everyone thought that customers wanted an entirely online purchasing experience, something like buying a package on Amazon. But in all reality, I think there's very few customers, a slim percentage that, especially in the used car market, that want it to be entirely hands off. They want something like a hybrid version. Is kind of what I've noticed. So they want to get a lot of the information up front, as well as on information on the car, and also financing terms. Majority of our customers are looking for financing. So they want to be transparent with the pricing, the fees, the taxes, and the financing options up front, um, and then come in, and do the final paperwork and test drive and just make sure the car, the fit and feels there, and everything else like that. So I think through implementing the Upstart, partnership we did, it allows customers to do a lot of that, a lot of the grunt, the heavy lifting up front, so
Mhm.
that customer can know what they're qualified for, what the rate's going to be, their final figures, instead of coming into the dealership blind. Um, it helps the customer, but not only that helps the customer, it helps us, because we know up, kind of up front, um, instead of showing somebody a car that they're maybe expecting is a $300 payment, when really it's a car that would be a $600 payment. It's just, it's more transparent up front, and everyone can kind of go the right direction without having to guess.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and you mentioned like the diversification of your inventory, right? Selling Teslas, and then the other end of it being selling commercial vehicles. Like, how are you staying ahead of the market as it relates to trends, whether it's inventory, whether it's technology, whether it's like even potentially like delivery services? Like, how are you staying ahead of your peers or your competitors to address that kind of evolving market?
I think the best way I can stay ahead of it is really actually just be quick on inventory acquisition and monitoring trends. Um, so it's not really as much of a technology piece. We do have technology. We use Stockwave, for example, that monitors our sales trends, and it will tell you, hey, over a 45-day moving average, I might not have enough of a certain category of car. It will make recommendations where, hey, you actually need to get more small sedans and less full size SUVs, or vice versa. It will actually tell you what you need, and by being able to go out and source them quickly, recondition them quickly, and get them to market, we can stay ahead of what the demand is going to be, and also monitoring that, hey, if consumer sentiment changes on something, for example, at the end of the year, everyone wants commercial vans for tax purposes. It's having the right inventory at the right time. So have those vans in November, December, versus the middle of June. It's not, the key is you want to not overload yourself with inventory, overburden yourself with the wrong stuff. Otherwise, you're just going to be sitting on it. So by using technology and by using the metrics and the data, you can see, you could stock the right inventory is kind of what I'm saying.
And how does that flexibility of diversifying it, having seasonality, and things like that, how has that improved your days in inventory numbers over like the last year or two? Have you seen an improvement in those
Yes,
numbers?
the turn time's faster. So by stocking the right inventory, you're going to sell it a lot quicker. And that's just the name of this game is speed, right? You want to be able to get the cars, get them frontline ready as fast as possible, and then sell them as fast as possible. And part of selling them is also getting the financing done and getting the car. It doesn't matter. Anyone can put a car on the road, but you got to get the deal cashed, right? It doesn't matter until the money's in the bank.
Yeah.
Then you can take that money and redeploy it to more inventory. So um, that's just the biggest, coming from the finance side myself. Um, you know, you can be real proud of yourself and put up a lot of cars on the road, but not cash the contracts. It doesn't do you any good.
Yeah, contract in transit sometimes is a four-letter word, if you're not good about it. So I agree.
It can be very distracting too. By having a bunch of deals out there that you're running around collecting things that you didn't do up front or didn't get approved up front. Um, it could also be embarrassing when you have to call somebody and say, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, we got to change something or undo."
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's never a good experience for the F&I manager, the dealership, or the end customer to have to
It's
bring
just
the car back.
distracting, when you should be moving on to the next customer and the next sale.
Yeah, for sure. And then as we think about financing and those opportunities for dealerships and for consumers, one of the things that you hear a lot about in the news today is like contraction of credit. Like credit is tougher to get. So, assuming all the things in the market right now, used car inventory, new car inventory, EVs, incentives, all the many things that play into the financing of a car. Like, talk to us about how you are dealing with those challenges and how you offer a variety of different finance solutions so that you're not distracted by having a large CIT list, or you're not distracted by trying to chase steps, or you're not distracted by the tougher sales process because of increased interest rates? Like, what are you all doing to help mitigate some of the current macro environment?
It's definitely been a challenge. Credit is tighter than I've ever seen it. It was obvious my entire career, started in 2012. It's been getting looser and looser and looser, and that's just kind of the name of the game. Of every time you meet with a bank rep, they would say, "Oh, it's just we're expanding. We're gonna buy deeper. We're gonna go higher mileage, longer terms." And this is the first time we've seen it in the last decade where it's the other way around. So our biggest thing is just, I think Upstart's been actually, I hate to keep beating a dead horse on this, but it's been great for us because with the AI lending, you can really get a lot of times more competitive rates for, versus just looking at a score. Whereas, an old school bank might say, hey, they're, just plug the matrix in. It's a 2016 and they're a 680. Here's where you're at. It's an instant decision, approval time, time kills deals, as we've always say in the business. And by having instant approval and by knowing the stipulations up front, and I think AI also like clears a lot of that up front. So, the amount of time they're asking for income, they're asking for, ticky tack things that you have to collect that, everyone always forgets conveniently. By avoiding all that, it just it reduces the CITs, reduces the frustration for the customer and the salesperson and the manager. Um, and kind of knowing, having the experience, it really helps as well, and knowing where to go with the customer and with the car and with the credit. We service full spectrum. We do everything from a 400 to an 800, and we see it. We see that every day. And by having that experience, you got to know where to go with each customer and the right questions to ask each customer. If lower credit score, out of the bat, we're going to need to have proof of just about everything.
Yeah.
So it's just knowing the right questions to ask.
Yeah, no, I get it. And one of the things I'd be interested in your perspective as well is you think about the consumers, right? Like traditional car buyers are not buying a car every year. They may not be acutely attuned to the current interest rate environment. So kind of walk me through like the talk track for maybe your team or the finance managers as customers are coming in, maybe trading in a car that they were paying 5.9% on. And today they're having to pay 7.9. And even for, as you mentioned, some of your 800 FICOs, that's almost blasphemous.
It's a big shock. The best thing we can do is be educators in the space. Everyone knows rates went up. It's all over the news. Mostly mortgage rates is what they see.
Mm-hmm.
But they may not have experienced it themselves because, again, the average customer buys a car every 4 years, at least historically used to. And that's probably longer now since COVID delayed everything else. So the best thing we can do is just share, you always ask, hey, Mr. Customer, who do you bank with, right? And then we'll look up the rates together, right? So like we can go on, their credit union's website, someone that they trust because they're maybe already a member of a credit union. And if you're already a member there, hey, that gives them validity. So let's go, let's do it. We'll learn together, pull it up. Hey, this is what their rates are. And the name of the game for us is to, educate and then try to capture that financing so that they want to, do business with us, which makes, the whole process better and more profitable for us as a dealer, and quicker to get funded on. So
Absolutely.
it's, the Upstart product's great because it's an easy sell. Is the first pushback you're going to get from any customers and say, well, I don't want to run my credit. Great. You don't have to. It's soft pull.
Yeah.
And that will definitely disarm them, and it gets the conversation moving, right? Instead of just saying, hey, let me go check with my credit union, and that everything stops at that point. But if you can get the process rolling a little further, next thing you know, you have personal information, we're putting it in, we're getting rates, we're quoting payments, all without having a hard pull on their credit. The chances of closing that deal just went up dramatically.
Yeah, for sure. And one last question I'd really like to understand from your perspective and the organization, like as you look into the future, right? As we just mentioned, the world's changed so much in just a short period of time since COVID. Like, what are the things that you're doing or the organization is doing to shape the future of CARite and shape the future of the automotive industry while maintaining that same commitment to educate and delight your customers when they come into the dealership?
I think as far as shaping the future goes, is just being on top of the trends, and trying to utilize technology as best possible, and constantly researching what the best products are out there. I think we have a pretty good tech stack right now, but I mean, it's never the best, right? There's always something new. So we want to be open to whatever products are out there, try them out, and if they're not the right fit, or if they're not beneficial to us, not be afraid to move on to the next, right? Tried a lot of different things that haven't worked, and I'm man enough to admit that and say, hey, like, that was a dumb idea, So I'll try anything once, right? It's if in hey, it might work out. So we're always trying to keep our ear to the ground. I follow a lot of different other, I would say, like, car business influencers, put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a social media lurker myself. I don't post anything, but I like to read it, and I'll just kind of see what people are saying out there, and that's how I found Upstart in the first place. This was 2 years ago. Someone had made some recommendations on a couple of different things, and I do some research on myself, and I research myself and say, hey, just give this a shot, and don't be afraid to fail on it, because there's a lot of products out there that just aren't good, but you never know.
And we've had a lot of success together. So I'm thankful and appreciate that. So before we go, one more good, like, personal question about Alex. I'll tell you, like, my first car ever was a 1986 Chevy Celebrity with the roof liner missing. And it used to always, like, smoke anytime I stopped at a red light. That was my first car ever. So Alex, what was your first car? And give me, like, a cool, funny story about it.
I didn't even have a junky first car. I was fortunate. I was kind of the kid who, like, saved every dime I made. So by the time I was 16, I actually had a Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was a very nice car. I bought it myself, and it was great until I flipped it upside down. So that was the end of that one. But it was a awesome car. Didn't smoke or anything. The heated seats you could fry an egg on them. There was a defect in the 2000 model. Great car, but it just couldn't survive the complete inverted flip.
Yeah, not many cars these days can survive.
No, it was. I was so naive at the time. I'm like, hey, they can fix that, right? Tow truck drivers, oh no, man, she's toast. It was sad to see it go, But it's I still have a soft spot in my heart for that car. I would drive one to this day. I'm not sure you'd say the same with your.
I think I would buy one and put it in my backyard just to show my kids how far Dad's come.
So
that's my favorite. So, well, great, Alex. Again, I really appreciate the time today. This has been a great conversation, and I want to thank everybody for listening again. We'll catch you next time on the Leadership in the Dealership podcast, and thank you again, Alex.
Good to see you.